If you don't trust me hanging out with my ex every weekend, maybe we shouldn't be together. Those were the exact words my girlfriend of 3 years, Amelia, said to me 2 weeks ago. She thought she was calling my bluff. She thought I'd break down, apologize for being insecure, and let her walk out the door to meet him. Instead, I just looked at her, totally calm, and replied, "You're absolutely right. Let's back up a bit. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and up until recently, Amelia, 26F, and I shared an apartment in New York. We were building a life together. We talked about marriage, looked at rings, and genuinely planned a future. I work a pretty demanding, high-paying corporate job, while Amelia works in marketing. She's always been a social butterfly, which I loved about her. I'm naturally more reserved, so she balanced me out. Or so I thought. 4 months ago, her ex-boyfriend from college, Leo, moved back to the city. I didn't think much of it at first. Amelia told me they had ended on good terms and were just friends now. Then came the group hangouts. Then the quick coffee dates. Soon, it escalated to what she called nostalgia dinners, where they'd spend hours laughing about inside jokes from their past while I sat at home. The real breaking point was the weekends. For the last month, Amelia spent almost every Saturday and Sunday with Leo. Her excuse? He was going through a really tough time with his career and needed support. I tried to be understanding, but it reached a point where I barely saw my own girlfriend. When I finally sat her down and tried to communicate my discomfort, she completely gaslit me. She told me I was being controlling, toxic, and insecure. She said a real man wouldn't care about his girlfriend helping a friend. It all culminated on a Friday night. I came home from a brutal week at work to find Amelia putting on a stunning dress and doing her makeup. She was going out to a high-end lounge with Leo. I told her that spending every single weekend with her ex was crossing a major line for me. That's when she got angry, threw her hands in the air, and dropped the ultimate ultimatum. If you don't trust me hanging out with my ex every weekend, maybe we shouldn't be together. In that exact moment, a switch flipped inside my head. The anxiety, the hurt, the stress, it all just vanished, replaced by complete clarity. I realized I was fighting for someone who didn't give a damn about my peace of mind. "You're absolutely right," I told her. Amelia looked surprised for a second, but then she shrugged, assuming I was just throwing a tantrum or agreeing to a temporary break. She muttered something about giving me time to cool down, grabbed her purse, and left to meet Leo. The second the door clicked shut, I opened my laptop. For the past 6 months, my company had been practically begging me to transfer to our London office to head up a brand new regional team. It came with a massive promotion and a huge relocation bonus. I had declined it 3 separate times because Amelia didn't want to leave her friends or her job. I emailed my VP right then and there. "I'm in. Can I start in 2 weeks?" Within 10 minutes, he replied with an enthusiastic yes. For the next 2 weeks, I played it completely cool. I acted totally detached, but polite. Whenever Amelia went out with Leo, she'd text me saying she hoped I was reflecting on my behavior. I told her I was just giving her space to think about what she really wanted. Meanwhile, I was quietly dismantling my entire life. I packed all my clothes and valuables into a few large suitcases. Anything else I owned went into a long-term storage unit. I spoke to our landlord, explained the situation, and quietly paid out my half of the lease termination fee, so I wouldn't leave him high and dry. Amelia was so wrapped up in her weekends with Leo that she didn't notice a single thing missing from the apartment. That brings us to today. It's Friday afternoon, exactly 2 weeks since our fight. I'm currently sitting in the International Terminal Lounge at JFK, waiting to board my one-way flight to London Heathrow. About 20 minutes ago, Amelia apparently decided our break had lasted long enough. She texted me, "Hey, what are you doing this weekend? Are we still acting weird? Let's get dinner tonight and talk." I didn't type a single word in response. Instead, I ordered a glass of champagne from the lounge bar, held it up, and took a selfie. In the background of the photo, the airport departure board is crystal clear, showing my flight number and the words, "London Heathrow, boarding." I hit send. Then, before she could even process it or type a reply, I went down the line and blocked her number. I blocked her Instagram, her Facebook, her LinkedIn, and even blocked our mutual friends who would definitely try to act as flying monkeys for her. My flight was just called, and I'm about to step onto the plane to start my new life. I feel lighter than I have in months. But a part of me wonders, did I go too far by ghosting her like this? Or did I give her exactly what she asked for? Update. It's been a little over a month since I boarded that flight to London, and honestly, life looks completely different now. I'm currently writing this from my new apartment in Shoreditch. It's a trendy, vibrant neighborhood, and my flat has these massive windows overlooking the city. The job has been intense, but incredibly rewarding. Heading up the new regional team here means long hours, but between the promotion, the corporate recognition, and the massive relocation stipend, I finally feel like my hard work is being valued. For the first time in 4 months, I wake up without a knot of anxiety in my stomach. But I know what you all want to hear. What happened after I sent that airport selfie and boarded the plane? When I left New York, I thought I had cut the cord perfectly. I blocked Amelia on my phone, my Instagram, my Facebook, and even blocked our mutual friends. What I completely forgot about, however, was an old iPad I kept in my desk drawer, which was still synced to my Apple ID and iMessage. Because it was connected to my home Wi-Fi network back in the States, it kept receiving everything. On top of that, my younger brother refused to block Amelia. He told me, "Man, I'm keeping her unblocked purely to spy on the drama for you." According to my brother, the fallout was immediate and absolute chaos. When Amelia received my airport selfie, she initially thought it was a joke. She tried calling me, got the single ring that meant she was blocked, and started panicking. She rushed over to our apartment, likely intending to demand an explanation. Instead, she walked into a ghost town. Because I had packed up all my clothes, my gaming setup, my electronics, and the furniture I had paid for, the place was about 80% empty. That was the exact moment the reality of the situation hit her like a freight train. She didn't just lose a boyfriend. She lost her entire lifestyle. She went into the leasing office the next morning, hysterical, only to find out that I had already legally removed myself from the lease and paid out my portion of the termination fee. The luxury apartment we shared was way out of her price range on her marketing salary alone. When I finally turned on my iPad a week into my move, I was hit with an absolute inundation of unhinged messages. Looking through them was wild because you could see her going through the stages of grief in real time. The first wave was pure, unfiltered rage. "How could you do this to me over a simple misunderstanding?" she texted. "You are a coward for running away across the ocean because you couldn't handle me having a friend. You ruined our life over your own insecurities." But within 48 hours, the anger crumbled into desperate bargaining. The messages completely shifted tone. "Please call me. I'm begging you." I cut Leo off completely. I told him we can't see each other anymore. "I realize now how much I hurt you. Please come home. I love you. We can fix this." Seeing those texts gave me zero satisfaction, just a profound sense of relief that I was thousands of miles away. Then came the real plot twist. A few days ago, a mutual friend of ours named Sarah reached out to me via LinkedIn, literally the only platform I hadn't thought to block her on. Sarah apologized profusely for taking Amelia's side initially and proceeded to fill me in on the absolute train wreck that unfolded after I left. Apparently, the very weekend I moved to London, Amelia had turned to Leo for comfort. Since she was facing eviction and couldn't afford the rent on our apartment, she expected Leo to step up, be her knight in shining armor, and move in with her to split the costs. After all, they were best friends who spent every single weekend together, right? Well, Leo's true colors came out real fast. It turns out Leo was a total freeloading deadbeat. He didn't want a committed relationship with Amelia. He just liked the attention, the ego boost, and the free high-end dinners she bought him. And here is the kicker. Amelia had been paying for those dinners using our joint credit card account. Luckily for me, I had closed that joint account the morning of my flight. The moment the free dinners stopped and Amelia demanded that Leo commit to her and help pay her rent, Leo panicked. He didn't want a girl with financial baggage and drama. He literally ghosted her on the spot. Within 2 weeks, Sarah found out that Leo had already started dating someone else entirely. Amelia was left completely alone, facing the loss of her apartment, realizing she had thrown away a loyal, successful partner who adored her for a guy who literally just used her for a free ride. The desperation eventually reached my family. Amelia's mother called my parents, completely distraught, begging them to get me to talk to her daughter. She claimed Amelia was severely depressed, crying every single day, and couldn't sleep or eat. My mom, however, has always had a keen eye for BS and had never been a fan of Amelia's complete lack of boundaries. When Amelia's mother started crying on the phone, my mom didn't flinch. She simply said, he gave her exactly what she asked for. She told him that if he didn't like her spending every weekend with her ex, they shouldn't be together. He agreed. There is nothing left to talk about. So, that's where things stand. I'm thriving in London, going out for drinks with my new British coworkers, exploring a beautiful new city, and building a career I'm proud of. I'd be lying if I said it didn't still hurt sometimes. 3 years is a long time, and the betrayal still stings when the rooms get quiet. But I genuinely thought the drama was finally behind me and that I could move on in peace. I was wrong. Final update. It's been 6 months since I packed my bags and moved across the Atlantic, and I can officially say I am completely settled into my life in London. The hustle of the new job has paid off. I know my way around the tube, and the ghost of my past relationship had finally stopped haunting my daily thoughts. I felt whole again. Then, on a rainy Tuesday evening, everything came rushing back. I was sitting on my couch watching a movie when my intercom buzzed. It was the building's concierge. Sir, sorry to disturb you, but there is a young lady downstairs in the lobby. She claims she's your fiancé and that she lost her keys. My heart dropped into my stomach. I don't have a fiancé. I took the elevator down to the lobby, my mind racing. When the doors opened, I saw her. It was Amelia. She looked absolutely exhausted, drenched from the London rain, standing there shivering while clutching a single, worn-out suitcase. I just stared at her in utter shock. It turns out, after I blocked her on LinkedIn, she had used what little savings she had left to buy a ticket to London. She knew the name of my company, looked up our UK branch location, and spent days tracking down which neighborhood I lived in. The moment she saw me, her eyes welled up with tears. She begged me to talk to her for just 10 minutes. I felt completely suffocated in my own lobby, so I told her we could go to the 24-hour coffee shop right next door. There was absolutely no way I was letting her up into my apartment. We sat down in a quiet corner of the cafe, and the sob story immediately began. Amelia started crying hysterically, apologizing profusely for everything that had happened 6 months ago. She admitted that she had been incredibly selfish and got completely caught up in the cheap validation Leo was giving her. But she swore it meant nothing. She told me she had to move into a tiny, terrible apartment after losing our place, and that the misery of the last 6 months made her realize I was the absolute love of her life. She looked across the table, grabbed a napkin to wipe her eyes, and literally said, I came all this way to show you I'll do anything to fix this. I'll move here. I'll do whatever it takes. 6 months ago, hearing those words would have been all I ever wanted. But looking at her now, I didn't feel anger or satisfaction or love. I just felt a profound sense of pity. The illusion was completely shattered. The version of Amelia I wanted to marry didn't exist. She was just a memory. I looked her in the eyes and asked her a single question. Amelia, if I hadn't left, if I had stayed in New York and kept begging for your respect, would you have ever stopped seeing him? She froze. She opened her mouth to speak, but stopped. She hesitated. And in that 2-second silence, the truth hung heavily between us. That hesitation said absolutely everything. She only valued me once I was gone and her safety net was destroyed. I think you should go home, I said quietly. I stood up, put some cash on the table to cover the coffees, and told her it was over. I wished her a safe flight back to the States, turned around, and walked out of the cafe. She was still weeping into her hands as the door swung shut behind me. When I got back to my building, I gave a photo of her to security and explicitly instructed them never to let her pass the front desk again. Amelia stayed in a local hotel for 2 days before finally accepting reality and flying back to New York. The absolute embarrassment of the entire situation must have finally registered, because shortly after she landed, she completely deleted all of her social media profiles. She has finally vanished from my life for good. This will be my final update, guys, because I am officially closing this chapter. I'm doing incredibly well. In fact, I've recently started casually dating an amazing woman here in London. She's kind, ambitious, and most importantly, she actually understands and respects boundaries. Looking back, that toxic ultimatum Amelia gave me on a random Friday night was the biggest blessing in disguise. It forced me to value myself. So, I'll leave you all with the biggest lesson I learned from this entire experience. Trust your gut, guys. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time.